Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. Springboard is your most inspirational show and the place where the greatest minds in the world converge. The virtual university is brought to you by the Springboard Ratio Foundation and proudly sponsored by the MTN Pulse and the Enterprise Group with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So, on the 2nd and 3rd of November, a collection of some of the most influential female executives in this country and from across different nationalities converged at the Labadi Beach Hotel for the annual conference of the Executive Women's Network. I had the privilege of gate crashing briefly at the conference and I was absolutely amazed. Incredible conference, incredible conversations, and I left there very inspired about the future of our country in particular. I have the privilege today of being here with two of the executives and organizers of the conference to help us break down why do we even need a network of female executives and what is the way going forward. So I'm here today with our friend, a regular here now at the Virtual University, Janet Simkwamo, CEO of Jenem Salon and Spa and Chair of EWN. Janet, good to see you.
Great to see you, Albert.
And permit me to congratulate yourself and the team for what I believe was a landmark event.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
Have you caught your breath back?
Yes, we have and more.
Yes. I think you should be energized by the results that you've had. My good old friend is here. We've known each other for years and somebody I respect and celebrate. Essilfuah Tamakloe, Marketing and Corporate Relations Director of APSA, also one of the organizers. Essilfuah, good to see you.
Good to see you, Albert.
This is your first time on the Virtual University, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's been a long time coming.
I know.
But
I'm happy I'm here.
Yes, congrats for the conference.
Thank you.
One word description for you, if I had to push you, one word to describe it.
Phenomenal.
Wow. Are you a Maya Angelou fan? Phenomenal woman is a very big one there. Janet, what would you use?
Exhilarating.
That's your business on the Ghana's most beautiful. When you land, say what's the word for today?
All right.
I guess that's become now one of your signature views. So I look at the conference, but I take two steps back to ask about commonalities. What are the peculiar issues that female executives face that people listening should be aware of to help them appreciate why you would even come together? So what would they be?
Albert, regardless of the roles we play as women and the sectors that we belong to, there are very clear commonalities among female leaders in corporate, in enterprise. I think of the first as the fact that you may be a leader in an organization, but after your work, you still have your traditional role of being a nurturer. And therefore, you have the home to manage, you have family to manage children, and then you have also a husband to take care of. So that's a commonality for all of us as women, coming together. That's one. And then secondly, when you think about the fact that the birthing of children is by women, naturally, there could be occasions where some females may have had to truncate their career just to maybe, get the birthing of children over and done with, and then they can pick up. Some may pick up a little easier than others, naturally. So that's also one commonality that we find amongst ourselves. And also, when you think about the fact that lately, a lot of glass ceilings have been shattered by women. Women are no longer actually being invited to actually they are heading the tables when you think about it. And yet there's this gnawing feeling of sometimes I think female leaders thinking that the measurement, the yardstick that is being used to measure us is a little bit more stringent than the men. And therefore you have to push yourself extra hard just to keep proving the point that you can do this. And then also the fact that, as one of our panelists said, Taka, I worry that, the African woman has almost been boxed into a certain framework and an inner line has been drawn. And if we keep looking at those lines, that obviously limits us. And that's where the inner...
I like Taka's imagery.
Yes, imagery.
She spoke about coloring outside the lines.
Coloring outside
the big outcomes
the
of
lines.
the
Exactly, for me, it stayed with me. Because I think that's so true about how we let certain thinking limits, our capabilities. And the fact that we should try and color outside, the lines. And then the inner critic, that voice that keeps telling you, you cannot do it. You can't do it. And I think sometimes it's a little bit too overpowering. So our ability to sort of free ourselves from that and then a bit more positive about what we can do. So these are some, there are a lot more, but these are some of the commonalities.
Each of these alone can form the topic for a whole book.
I am telling you.
As a pastor, those last two are very key for me. I mean, the lines and the boundaries and the barriers, and then also
and
being
the inner
able
critic,
to rise above the voice of your own self-depreciation. Johnny, what does a network of women, accomplished women, do to help respond to some of these issues that Essilfuah so beautifully articulated?
Well, thank you so much, Albert. It's such a pleasure to be here again with our listeners and our viewers. I always feel invigorated when I have to come on your show. And in addition to what Essilfuah has added, I'll just piggyback on one key point to drive into why, or the essence of having a network, which is, when women climb up to the top, sometimes it feels very lonely. Because the reason being that, let me take care of it, typically, you'll find a group of men going to watch football, and it's okay. Have a glass of beer, and it's okay. After work, group together 10 p.m., and it's okay. Your partner comes home at 10:30, it is absolutely fine. But the lady cannot do that. Forget about coloring outside the lines for a second, not because you don't want to color outside the lines, but you have some responsibilities at home that you have to take care of. And therefore, your first primary objective after work is to go home and look at those other responsibilities. So you tend to feel this kind of loneliness at the top. And if you're not careful, it can be overwhelming. And that's the essence behind EWN. How can women, accomplished women leaders, come together to support each other, to inspire each other, to empower each other? How do we have open conversations with each other? Probably what Essilfuah is going through, I'm going through at home, or at work, or in my enterprise as an entrepreneur. But because I haven't had anyone to chat with, I have this feeling that I'm alone in it.
In my conversation with Lucy, she was saying that Lucy Quist, one of the founders of your network, she was saying that, interestingly, she found that during her bold New Normal conference, one of the game-changing moments was when people got together in small groups to discuss their challenges. And she says, it was just very therapeutic for people to hear that the thing I'm going through, somebody else is going through, probably even worse. And she says that was a game changer. So you are saying that in the meetings of the network, when you come together and talk about the things you're having to overcome, just hearing somebody else's own could be inspirational.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's a game changer. And the other thing too is, sometimes you feel that you're going through a peculiar situation and therefore you are not able to climb the ladder as you would like to. Somebody will tell you, this is the way you do it. This is how I went through. These are the challenges I faced. These are the ways in which I overcame those challenges. And the beauty about EWN is, the notion that women, we are our worst enemies. I wouldn't say it's absolutely zero, but one of the ways in which EWN debunks that is that we're very, very open with our conversations. We're really, really authentic and down to earth.
Are you great friends because whenever I see you guys converge, the laughter is like a mile. You can hear the laughter from a mile away.
I tell you,
is it that you found a way to feel comfortable around each other in spite of the fact that some of you are in, and I'll tell you what, I noticed people who were chatting who literally are from competing companies.
Yes.
So your company and the other person's company are competitors. And
Yeah.
yet when the conversation begins,
Yes.
the laughter literally overrides.
It's amazing. You know what we say, EWN hashtag we are stronger together.
Right.
EWN hashtag work the network. Because the other thing too is you can belong to a group, an organization, and be a silent player. There are around 209 members of EWN. And
What's your dream as the chair? Let me take you. What's your dream as a chair?
my dream is to amplify the voice of EWN.
Numbers?
Numbers in 3 years will be 10 years. I wish we will go to 400, 500.
So if
We are at 200 now.
If you ended up with 1,000, what would you call it?
Hallelujah. We'll say, glory be to God. If we can impact this many lives, we'll say hallelujah.
I put on my prophetic fugu
Amen.
that was given to me by EWN after my session. And I
Amen.
announced that in 3 years' time,
Yes.
when EWN is what? How many years?
10 years.
There will be 1,000 members.
Hallelujah.
To the glory of God. A round of applause for
Let's give
that.
a clap.
If you just joined us, this is Springboard, your virtual university. I get the privilege of hanging out with my friends, the executive members of the EWN, and to help us appreciate why it is imperative, critical, that accomplished women in various fields of endeavor come together to network, support each other, and edge each other up as they continue climbing the ladder. Janet, is there space for somebody who will say, I am not yet accomplished in EWN?
Actually, what's the definition of accomplishment?
Well,
it is very, very personal, isn't it? So EWN is a group of executive women leaders, irrespective of whether you're in the corporate environment or within the entrepreneurial space. And we have two categories of membership. We have the full members who are leaders 10 years or more within their particular area of expertise. And then we have the associate members who are 5 years and more. So there's space for what I call the middle level that we groom up. And then there's even more space, which is not our core though, but we mentor young and upcoming women. I don't know if you remember the project at EWN Elevate, that we actually mentor young girls within the tertiary institutions, the senior high schools and tertiary institutions. So like we said at the conference, be courageous and just take the step.
It's beautiful that you tell me this, because I'm struggling to choose between as for the core is a given. The main core of 10 years and above. I have a feeling that surprise, I'm not even as fascinated by the mentoring of the ones in the university as I am by I'll vote the associate membership first before the university one second. Not because the university group fall within our core for several years, but there is a missing link. That person who has begun the journey and is struggling to break through to the higher level and is asking, am I on the wrong track? What have they done differently that I haven't done? So I will give more marks to that middle belt that you are trying to help up as a very special case. What did you set out to do with this conference?
Let me give you, it's amazing. We started planning for this conference since February this year.
I've known about it forever.
You've known about it through Comfort. So we had different levels of objectives, but we set a clear picture of success. What will success look like at this conference? So the main objective of the conference is to move away from talk to intentional action at 3 different levels: in your personal life, within your business or organization, and then at the national level. And this is what informed how we set up the different panels. We'll talk about the panels later, but the picture of success that we set for ourselves was first to raise the money. Because if you remember how the year started in this country, I wouldn't go too much into details, but you know about the domestic debt exchange program, where like how are we going to
Convince your
raise
sponsors
this
to-
money?
Right.
It was not easy, but hey, we had a think tank of people and we came up with about 10 different tactics to raise the money. So we got the money. That was our first objective. The second
Please,
one,
I'm going to ask the Ministry of Finance to come, because we need plenty money as a country. So if you have the blueprint, we should come and consult
you
you
have
there.
no idea the
They should
strategy.
follow-
The big strategy
Oh,
we
no
had it was
problem.
huge, but
it's
we pulled it
remarkable,
through.
yeah.
Yes, and the second one was to elevate the status of the conference, because hitherto our conferences had been local. Okay, and we said, you know what? It is about time we expanded the kind of inputs we get, the diversity, the richness, of the conversations. So we were able to have about 8 different African countries coming, and our keynote speaker was from the UK, but has an oversight over 37 countries. So that was huge. And all the panelists are panelists who have had international exposure and experience on so many platforms. And that picture of success was achieved. We wanted to have 400 people at the conference. We ended up with 330 in person and 57 online. We wanted to have a very, very strong net. I don't know if you came to day one, but the day one was phenomenal.
Day one was for ladies only.
No, the men were there. My husband was there.
Your husband is a member.
He's a member.
Yeah, he's a member.
You are a member. I've co-opted you in.
No, I'm an associate. Your
Oh,
husband
Charlie,
is
I
a
can't
founding
see
member.
you are right in there. And the last but not the least is what we're going to discuss later is the action points.
Right.
Because gone are the days where after a conference, the question is, so what?
And I'm happy to announce that the action points are being officially launched on this program. It's breaking news, so stand by for that in the second part of this program. And a big hello to my brother Essilfuah Tamakloe. Just seeing him supporting on location is a confirmation that the men are solidly standing by the women as they pursue this, as evidenced by today's conversation. But let me come to you, Essilfuah. It's nice when we talk all the big English, but for me, when I got there, I sat down, I started looking around and seeing the big faces. I know you can't mention all, but just for the benefit of somebody who says, wow, was it that good? Just to help us appreciate a few of the well-known people who were there. Just walk me through some of my friends who were there.
I like that.
Yes. Just for the benefit of somebody.
I think it was a phenomenal conference, and as we have earlier articulated, just the makeup of the panelists, and then also the moderators, topics carefully curated, just so we can hold the interest of all our attendees. So if you think about, for instance, we had a panel. First, let me actually just talk about the fact that our partner, being MTN, Salom was there from morning until evening.
Along with
Angela, the co-chairs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Angela Williams, who is the president of the United Way, president worldwide, was our keynote speaker. I mean, to draw somebody like that with just such rich experience to be there, and her delivery was so powerful, we didn't want this to end.
Yeah.
And then we had other speakers. On one of our panels also, we had Taka Awori, and then Antoinette, who is one of us, but also with the MTN as our main sponsor, was on the tech panel as well. Then we also had Hazel Barrett, yes, was on the well-being, was the last panel, which was very, exactly.
Yes, that was a very important.
Yes, and then Prof. Foforiata was also on that panel. And then we had some other ladies, Gail from Rwanda, then we had another, from the UK, with very insightful and rich experience to share. And I think it's one of the things that kept all our attendees glued, because you just wanted to hear from these ladies, and everybody was so inspired, because it's not very typical to have an all-day conference and end with your numbers intact. We actually had the fear that after lunch, we may have some exits, but everybody after lunch came back. The 57 online stayed, and 430 in person also remained.
Right.
So it was very exciting.
What so in terms of your benchmarks for success, you achieved them, and when I come back from this break, I'll be finding out. We'll be launching officially the key learnings from the conference and the takeouts and action points from the conference. But let me ask you personally, and this is very, very personal, what was your personal resolution after that gathering in terms of your own leadership and your journey? What did you decide to do differently?
For me, Albert, you can never have enough of growing. And so personally, I looked within and I said, have I been as intentional about some of the choices I've made as I ought to? So I have purposed, to look at my own journey, and then also I lead a team. How can I be more intentional to transform myself even more to help me with the transformation of my team? Because collectively then we can achieve together. If I have not worked fully on myself, I wonder how, I can continue to work on others. So that was my personal takeout, out of that conference, and many other things. Honestly, it was a very, very rich 2 days for me.
Janet, let me come to you, and I say this because if the intention of the conference was action, let's start with the two of you who are here. What should your staff, your fellow executives, your various Afribins, every organization that you are part of, what should they expect? And I'm putting you on the spot because they're listening, they're watching.
Yeah.
What should they expect differently from after the conference from you?
Okay, that would be great. Before I go in there, I want to say kudos to the male panel, which you were one of them. For us, it was an amazing way to show that we are in this together. You were there, Michael Bozumbil of Petrosol was there, Kofi Adomako of GCB was there, Sangudele was there.
It was humbling.
It was amazing, and so for what to add to that was the moderators of our conference this year. They are typically people who sit on panels, but we decided that they'll be moderators because we wanted to unearth all the richness and the insights that we needed from the panel. What would I do differently that I think a lot of people can learn from? I am horrible at internally criticizing myself. I'm like, no, you should have done this better. Throughout these past few days, I wasn't sleeping because, oh, have you dotted this I? Oh, no, you should have done this. Oh, no, this one and this one. And most of us who are so-called perfectionists, when women climb up, they want to dot all I's and cross all T's.
It's more of your temperament than your gender.
I'm like, so after the conference, when I got home, anybody called me and said, oh, you remember this technical? I said, no, I'm focusing on the big picture.
Yeah, for once.
I'm focusing on the big picture. Forget my inner critic, silence you one, I don't want to listen to you. And I think that is so critical to our mental wellness. We actually tend to be too, in fact, let me use the word, we don't love ourselves enough. We are not our own heroes enough. We want people to tell us, you've done well. Let's quit that. Let's learn to appreciate ourselves internally. And that is where mental health starts. Appreciate yourself, be kind to yourself, love yourself, silence that inner critic, and then just keep going. There was this panelist, I was sitting in my chair with goose pimples, with cerebral palsy. And Farida Bedwe, the way she climbed onto that stage, the way she spoke. And I said, if this lady can call herself a fixer, she calls herself a fixer. What about me walking on my 2 feet?
Farida was the first to win an award at the Festival of Ideas.
Wow.
And we still look back at it as one of the best awards you've ever given.
Wow, that was inspiring. Yes. I said, I've been blessed to walk on my feet. I've been blessed to be able to speak fluently. And I say, what? I'm not enough? Come on. So I am enough. And I've stopped
that's your big learning.
I am enough.
I took so many, but I would settle on, and because you mentioned that, I will settle on the last panel discussion that Hazel led on mental health and the fact that sometimes just pausing a little to be more empathetic and listening a bit more and being more observant. As a pastor, that was very big for me because a couple of weeks ago, I just looked at a colleague and went to her and said, "Are you okay?" And she broke down crying.
Wow.
She was going through a very difficult, uncertain moment.
Wow.
One of the members of my congregation. But if you just looked casually and moved on, you wouldn't even notice that there were tears in the inner crevices of the person's soul.
Can you imagine?
So the person looks fine, but you look again, just that second look, and you say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And then you realize that she's literally crying, but she's fine.
And you?
I think
So for me, that part about paying attention to the mental health of people, that because when I got to talking, I realized that she was literally at breaking point. And just a listening ear, I didn't have to recommend anything.
And you were intentional
just
about
listening.
going to ask her.
Yes, I said to her, in the next few minutes I'll be free. Let's talk. I just listened.
Do you realize, Albert, if you were there at the fourth panel, even the tone of their voices was very calm.
Yeah, it was different. Let's go for a break on this very somber note. And if you just joined us and are wondering, what exactly is this? This is the post-mortem. Post-mortem is not a good word. It's a review. I think it's a better word. Forgive my English language. It's a review of the Executive Women's Network Conference held on the 2nd and the 3rd of November 2023 at the Labadi Beach Hotel, bringing together some of the finest female executives we have in this country. And today we're talking about a new era for female executives, because after the break, my guests, Janet Sunkwamils and Essilfuah Tamakloe, will officially unveil the key learnings from the conference, what they put together point by point, for the benefit of all of us who are saying, okay, so what next? What exactly came out of those deliberations? Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Ratio Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN, which also sponsored the EWN conference and the Enterprise Group, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Business. In tomorrow's edition of the Daily Graphic, you will find a full capture of the official learnings from the conference. So I'm just telling you to look for Monday's edition of the Graphic and find out the official thoughts, learnings, and findings from the Executive Women's Network Conference. Let's go for a break. When we come back, let's break it down. Please don't go away.
Pascal is showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that he hired a security goat to protect the data shed. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded to cloud storage yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Well, now that we're all here, I want to start by saying what a difficult year it has been for all of us. But then there's also a lot to be grateful for. You know, like when I bumped my car into a taxi right at our junction, and the insurance company paid my claims the very same day.
And remember the surprise cash bonus we received for our funeral finance plan? That is what sponsored our trip to the beach.
And the song we sang all the way to Pram Pram. I'm also grateful that every passing year brings me closer to enjoying the retirement benefits I have contributed so much to. And how since I started working from home after the COVID pandemic, I've been taking better care of myself. Even my doctor can attest to that.
Speaking of that, I'm very grateful to the team at Transitions for giving Grandpa a befitting send-off.
Well, on a happier note, I am grateful to have found an affordable office space to rent at Advantage Place.
Enterprise, your advantage.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to this beautiful conversation with Janet Sunkwamils and Essilfuah Tamakloe. looking back at what has been described as the most successful executive women's network conference and the most beautiful gathering of female executives in this country, bringing together not just Ghanaian delegates but from other countries as well to deliberate on a chosen theme and to map out the way forward. We call this a new dawn for the female executive. So far, Janet and Essilfuah have been telling me the thinking that went into the conference, the design, those who were there. And if your name was not mentioned, please don't take it personal. We can't mention all 400 and something, as well as those online, were very powerful. But just a capture of some of the personalities who were there in the panels. Our interest in the second part of the program is to go back and just formally present the theme for the gathering, and even more importantly, what every female executive in this country, as well as viewers and listeners across the world who are women in any form of leadership, should pay attention to going forward. Here at Springboard, we commit to working with EWN to amplify these thoughts, because when our women win, our nation wins and our world wins. So we are extremely passionate about these learnings. In fact, it's our biggest gift from the conference. So Janet and Essilfuah, over to you. Just tabulate them first and let's see if you can do a bit of discussion. What was the theme first of the conference? And let's break down one by one the key findings. So what would be the official theme of the gathering?
Actually, the theme for this year was be intentional about transformation. And we focused on growth, resilience, and agility. And these are very, very, very key.
I know. Which are the three of your favorites? Growth, resilience, and agility. Which one is your favorite?
I think growth and then resilience. I can't say just one. I have to pick two.
And for you?
Resilience and agility.
I choose agility. I choose agility because it's the story of my life. Yes. I told myself that Albert keeps reinventing himself every time.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay, so let's go to let's tabulate, let's list the key findings, and let's see if we can find some time to break them down. What was number one?
So I'll mention a couple, and then Janet, I guess, also mention, and then we can pick. And then I think we're looking on this because it's very important that we pick up what, were the highlights. So I think the first was the key that we should define our purpose.
And that was as individuals or as organizations or?
Individuals and then even organizations.
Right.
Understanding the why is very critical. So then defining the purpose was very, very key, was on the top of the list.
Okay.
And then the opportunity to also learn, relearn, and unlearn. Okay. Because, we live in a very dynamic, nothing is static, and therefore we should be open to, unlearn and relearn, just so we can also grow and be agile.
Okay. So number one is define your purpose. Number two is learn, relearn, and unlearn. Let me come to you, Janet. Number three.
Yes. So before I go into number three, we want to stress the fact that these learnings and insights were collated from the moderators, from the panelists, and then from those who were the respondents of the questionnaire and the chairs. Because immediately after each panel, we sent out a questionnaire. So this is not coming from EWN per se, but a collation of all those who were there. So I'm going on to number three, which is to embrace the results of transformation. Often in time, we set out to transform something, and when the thing transforms, we're either not aware of it or we don't embrace the results fully. Going on to number five, resilience. Number four, resilience is part of our arsenal. You just talked about agility. Mine was resilience and agility.
But why did you choose Arsenal? You should have chosen Manchester United.
You know the funny thing. Can I tell you something?
Tell me.
So I was showing this to Cecil. And Cecil was like, why Arsenal? Should be Chelsea. I'm like, this is not football.
This is Arsenal.
Are you kidding?
Yes.
Recall. Names and recall. Even though you are talking about tools, the Arsenal meaning tools, the moment you mention Arsenal, the footballers come up and say, no, it should have been
the funny thing, Salom Adadivo, when
he's a Liverpool fan.
I tell you, Immediately, Kofi Adumaku's profile was rolling out, and Kofi said he was a supporter of a particular football club.
It was Liverpool.
Liverpool or something. I don't remember in detail. And Selon was like, "Hey, I was waiting for Kofi to be here to give him my peace of mind." And like, with guys, it's all about football, but with ladies, it's all about shoes and makeup and everything. Don't worry.
Really?
Anyway, we love that. So it was about resilience. It's part of our arsenal. Back to the point.
Yeah.
The thing is, please just have this imagery of an elastic band. When the time gets tough, when you pull, you'll be able to pull and get back. That is very important because times are changing so fast, and you talked about agility. You should be able to navigate and meander through the difficulties of life.
Right, so that's number
And
4.
That's number 4.
Then the 5th was, I think we've even mentioned it earlier, coloring outside the box.
And that's
this I love
representation, yeah.
so much, yes.
Right.
Honestly, our ability not to be defined only by what has been known, has been said, or how tradition or society has actually decided to define us, but our ability to see beyond and then color outside the lines, be creative, think outside the box, and do, new things. Then the next is the sisterhood. It's powerful. And if there's something that I have found to be true, it's been within the EWN network. There's no resource that you cannot find within the EWN network.
So you're talking about leveraging the network.
The network,
the
yes,
partnerships
because
and the
we are
friendships.
made up of different leaders coming from all walks of life, and everybody has got something to offer.
Let me
and
pinch your
therefore,
thoughts on that,
yes.
Essilfuah. In your work as a corporate and corporate comms, corporate relations, and marketing person in a financial institution, how beneficial is it to you to have a network of people in various fields that literally a WhatsApp group away and you will get things done?
You have no idea.
Help me to appreciate.
A thought crosses my mind. I'm looking for somebody or something on communication. I know somebody I can look on that platform and ask a question. Something on service, I know somebody on the platform that I can ask. And something that sometimes I'm going through, sometimes it's a bit difficult to talk to people within your own organization, but it's easier for me to share my thinking or maybe my frustration or my stress points with somebody who is in this sisterhood, but not necessarily within the organization, just so I get a different perspective. And that's one of the things I love about the EWN network. It's a rich a network of abundant resource, free of charge.
And sisterhood is powerful. So
Yes,
let's
it
go on
is powerful.
to number 7.
Yes.
Albert, before we go to number 7, we have a joke in EW. It's not a joke, it's a reality that we say call Karen. And do you know what call Karen means?
No.
Karen Hendrickson is the CEO of Rabito. You can call Karen at 2 a.m. with a health problem.
She'll pick up.
And she'll pick up.
But she doesn't sleep.
No,
But
that is
she'll
how
pick up.
powerful the network is. Call Karen. Okay, so going back to the next one, tech savvy. Being tech savvy is the new normal. Whether we like it or not, even my mother knows how to navigate YouTube more than I do. Can you imagine? At almost 80 years old.
She's
If
an
you-
exceptional case, please.
I'm terrible.
Respect.
Right? So if you're sitting somewhere thinking that this world of AI and technology and everything is not part of my cake, please wake up. Yeah? Forget about me, forget about money, wake up now. And we're talking about technological upscaling and retooling.
Right,
This
and
is
that's
extremely
I dedicate
crucial.
that. And today's, if you will notice, talking about intentionality, every example I've given today is about a woman.
Yeah.
So let me dedicate this particular point, number 8, to Rosie Ebeata.
Oh, Rosie.
Rosie talks about so graphically about reskilling and upskilling being a critical factor for your career progression. And she says upskilling is tough, but it's manageable. I mean, if you work hard at it, but reskilling is sometimes that breaking point where the skills you have are just not enough
Yes.
for where you are going
Yes,
next.
yes,
And you have to literally unlearn and start afresh. And that's
Yes.
a number of people struggle to make
Yeah.
that, the agility
Absolutely.
needed for that.
Yeah, I tell you, you have to
Exactly.
reskill and retool.
Yeah.
So So we added retooling to the reskilling.
So that's point number
is,
8.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to number 9.
Number 9, let me finish this point and then Essilfuah will take on. That's reshape technology to serve and not to enslave. Most of us sometimes, somebody says something very, very poignant. And I want to share it. And this is Angela Chematin-Jumo. She said, most of us, we are so guarded that we say, no, WhatsApp, what do you call it? Instagram is not for me. It's for the youth and blah, blah. She says, Janet, do you know what's happening on Instagram? You have all the babes who are defining what it is to be successful, that we are not there. And the youth don't have any reference point apart from them. So we have to be extremely intentional about being on Instagram so that the youth will see that there is another type of role modeling going on. Immediately she said that. She said that to me. I'm like, I'm on Instagram anyway because of Ghana's Most Beautiful, and I use that as a platform for mentoring. But immediately she said that to me. I said, Janet, you have to be more intentional.
That's a word.
You have to be more intentional.
Okay.
So if you're listening to us, please, if you're not on Instagram, please look at it as a platform for role modeling the youth.
Okay. So that would be number 9. What's number 10?
Number 10 is on joint effort. And I think the all-male panel was very clear on the fact that, yes, it's not about just women going, it's not just about men. I think sometimes working together gets us there even faster. So collaboration and doing stuff together was very important. And then we come back to actually what we set out to say, intentionality. So Albert, I'm back to, you've been on intentionality the whole.
And this point, forgive me, but this point was my small contribution to the conference.
Exactly.
And I say that because it's something that I think we should highlight without any fear. And without any shame. So yes. I'll leave the number 11 to you.
Yes, and then also respect.
So because of my bias,
yes.
I would like us to go back to number 11 and explain what you mean by intentionality, since it's the overarching theme of the conference. In this regard, right. What was the point the conference made about intentionality?
I think because the main topic was about transformation, the key point was the fact that transformation will just not happen. So you've got to be intentional about where you're going. If you have to put, together a plan, you must put a plan together. You must review that plan. What are the ingredients you need for the plan? And also, how do you constantly, review the plan to say, am I on track?
Okay.
So you've got to be intentional. These things just don't happen. I mean, right. it just doesn't happen. Growth, agility, all of those things, if it's important to you, you've got to be intentional about your journey and where you want to go.
Let's go to
Albert, let me add to that. And I want to say kudos to you and to everything that Springboard did. You're very intentional about featuring women. When we came in this morning, we just met one of our ladies moving out, which is Tuchi Ivoe. Tuchi is part of EW, and yes. I have been featured so many times on this show. I've seen you feature so many women on this show, and here we're seeing the intentionality. If you want girls to aspire to something, you have to show them the picture of what they're aspiring
Absolutely.
to, and that is featuring successful women as role models. Sangodele was saying when you come to her house, she has pictures of powerful women, inspirational women on the walls of her home because she wants her daughter to identify with these role models as women. So kudos to you for everything
Thank you very much. So you're touching on respect.
Yes. And the fact that a man's behavior towards his spouse is also quite significant, because we need the support of our men. And I think it was Frida Duplan who made this point about the fact that whilst we're empowering women and looking at all these issues that will inspire, support, and empower us, we better not leave out the men.
And then I smiled at Janet
exactly,
because this conversation
in the sense that
it's a very
10
real
years
one.
down
Yes.
the line, we'll realize that we have moved without the men. And then maybe we'll be having an empowered men network to also see how we can empower the men. So I think recognizing the fact that we need to walk the journey together so that we can achieve together, and that means we achieve more, is very critical. So that was also very, very good.
Okay, so that was number 12, respect.
Yes.
Number 13?
Responsibility. Understanding, like we say in Africa, it takes a village to raise a child, right? So we have to understand that much as is the traditional role, the colored line rules of women to look after the children, role model for them, it's important that we realize that we play this game together. So you and your partner at home, you have to bear the responsibility of role modeling for your children. The next one is value. That we recognize the dual roles of women leaders. It was Michael
Michael who made that point.
He was like, women are two CEOs, in case you don't know. Because the home is a workplace. You can itemize it from the CEO to the supply chain manager to the HR manager to the finance manager and everything. And she plays that role at home.
It was interesting to see him try and depict project management in the kitchen.
Yeah,
that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine cooking kontomire for the
project?
It's a whole project. The next one is start at home. Role modeling starts at home because the socialization of a child starts at home. Irrespective of today, we know that socialization happens on other platforms as well, but we need to ground our children right from the home front. And I bet you, Albert, whoever were your nurturers, they modeled you based upon what they would want the daughter to be married to. So if you want to have that kind of man who drives equity and respects women and everything, make sure you model your son at home and vice versa, and your daughter as well. Let's go to display of female role models. That's what I mentioned, that Sangudele says he intentionally does that. You intentionally do it on Springboard. And we are saying we are also very intentional. When you come into EWN, there's not a day that we are not celebrating somebody who has won an award or has made great strides. What we are saying is we're telling you it is possible.
Let me just add to that and say that especially the cross industry, because sometimes you don't pause to see that if you don't take care, all the people you are showing are from one particular industry. And the person is saying, I am an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm doing this in the market.
Should I tell you,
that
we
is
have
not
20, we're represented in 28 different industries.
So I'm just throwing in the part that the intentionality also means that celebrates not just those who are in the very high profile ones.
Yes.
So forgive me, number 17.
So I think I'll pick I have just the last three here. So the last panel also tried to focus on our well-being, both physically, our mental well-being, because we need that for the balancing of
Janet,
our life.
you enjoy that because your whole business is about wellness. I know, right?
So what we eat, what we do, the exercising, because to be honest with you, whether you're an entrepreneur, you are in the corporate world, we all have stressful work. So creating the right balance by eating healthy, sleeping well, these are things that we must be so we don't have burnout.
So watch what you eat.
Exactly.
17, okay.
And then we have speak out and seek help. I think the point, one of the points Janet had mentioned earlier, which was also very critical, was the fact that it can be pretty lonely at the top. And sometimes maybe you might think, oh, I'm supposed to know this, but I don't. No, we all don't know everything. So we have opportunity to speak to people who know, or even if they don't know, they can also refer you to somebody
myself in my personal
who knows.
moments of prayer, saying a prayer for the panelists who talked about abuse and the impact on her life. And I respected her for sharing her pain.
Exactly.
But I found myself also in the quiet, just praying for her for strength. Exactly. Because that's what we all need. All right, number 19.
And maybe just to even wrap up that point, the thing, I respected that panel even more because I got the impression that out of what experiences they had, they had excelled in their profession so they can help others. Yes. And I thought that was really, really, really...
Very balanced.
I mean, I was very touched.
From the moderator,
exactly,
herself, all the way through. The quality of the discussion was great.
Yes.
Okay,
and
let's
then
go to
the 19 was the opportunity when we have it to forgive. You know, if there's one thing I have learned, that sometimes even being angry is too toxic for the body. Yes. You've got to forgive and just take it all out. For your own sanity, it's good to forgive and just move on.
Right. So 19 lessons. Janet, let me give you the chance to add a 20th one.
We could never have pulled this off. I'm a Christian, so allow me. We could never have pulled this off without the divine intervention. So I would say we give glory to God. God made you exactly the way he wants you to be. Where you are now, I think Selon mentioned that nothing happens in this world by chance. Where you are now is exactly where you should be. So when you wake up every day, thank God for health, thank God for life, thank God for where you are, and just make the best of yourself. Fix what you can fix, what you cannot fix, seek help to fix it, and then just keep going. I'm emotional about this because I am happy that we were able to impact so many lives. And like I said in my address, you are the alchemist of your own personal legend. You weave your own tapestry. Nobody is responsible for that. So take control, do your best, be happy, love yourself.
I'm going to come back to you and give you a minute to do this again for the benefit of those who may be watching you from across the world who say, okay, I just tuned in, I just logged on. So I'm going to give you 1 minute each when I come back to wrap this up for us. Janet Sunquamills and Essilfuah Tamakloe of the Executive Women's Network. I've just enjoyed reliving the moments of the conference, but even more importantly, painting a picture of the future, what you will be focusing on and what you want female executives to focus on. So if you just joined us and say, I was driving, I just tuned in, on radio, on television, online. This is what Janet and Essilfuah have been saying about the learnings from the convening of women leaders that took place at the beginning of the month of November 2023. So number 1 is define your purpose. Number 2, learn, relearn, and unlearn. Number 3, embrace the results of transformation. Number 4, resilience is part of our arsenal. Number 5, I will not respond. Number 5 is color outside the lines. Number 6, sisterhood is powerful. Number 7, tech savvy is the new normal. Number 8, technological upskilling and retooling is critical. Number 9, reshape technology to serve and not to enslave. Number 10 is that it's a joint effort. Number 11 is about intentionality. Number 12 is about respect. 13, responsibility. 14 is value. 15 is start at home. That's where it all begins. 16 is display female role models. 17 is watch what you eat. 18, speak out and seek help. 19 is forgive. And 20 is remain eternally grateful to God when you wake up, because who you are is not a mistake. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with my friends today. So let me start with you, Essilfuah, in signing off. What will be your message to that person who says, oh, one day as the Lord permits, I will sit on TV and radio and talk about my story. Look into this camera and give them a message. I want you to speak especially to that young lady who's struggling, who says, this thing is nice, it's nice, but may that be my story one day. Speak to them, Essilfuah.
So to that young lady out there, looking at the theme of our conference, when we talked about being intentional about your transformation, you own the space, and purposefully you can actually go through this transformation in an intentional manner. But I think one of the things I like to leave with you is the fact that there's help out there. You are not alone. You need to learn to seek help. Others have traveled this road before. You are not the first and you'll not be the last. So seek help, but have a plan. And through that plan, seeking help, the right help, I mean, not just any help. I think, and God being your helper, obviously, you will get there.
I love this. You will get there and seek the right help. May I recommend to you that one of the likeliest places you will find that help is in a network of other leaders like you, charting the path and who are also very willing to support and help, unlike the long-held notion that it's a zero-sum game. I push you down so I can rise. So this is an invitation to you to join the Executive Women's Network. Let me find out from you, Janet. Before you share your closing thoughts, if somebody wanted to join the network, what must they do? Is there a number they can call?
It's very easy. Go to www.ewntree.com, our website, and you find all the
EWN
tree, as in
TREE.
Yes.
EWNTREE.com.
.com.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly. yeah.
Not three as in university.
Exactly.
So EWNTREE.com, and you will find out. And technology is the new normal. So please just type it on your phone right now and find out how you can sign up. Janet, look into camera and talk to somebody.
Okay, Albert, before I sign up, can I say thank you to all our sponsors?
Absolutely, especially because MTN is on.
To MTN Ghana for being our lead sponsor, to Petrosol Ghana for being our premium sponsor. I say thank you to GCB, to Stanbic Bank. There's so many, there are about 10 of them. To Jata Cement, to TNC Farms, to Rathmore, to Stanbic Bank, to Val, 10 of them. Hallelujah. We did it. Like I always say, thank you so much. God bless you.
Unilever was one of the sponsors?
Unilever bought a corporate table.
Okay,
so there are so many corporate tables.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Big thank you to you all for joining this amazing discussion. We have so much fun here while learning on the virtual university. So we'll come your way again next week. Springboard has been brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Ghana, also by the Enterprise Group, with media support from the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So till next week, my name is Albert Okran, saying, guess what? God bless you, and
thank you so much.
He's a